orient you as much as possible in the given schedule related to case studies. Yeah. Before I start the cases of R, just a small exercise we are going to do. That is, as it is a third day of machine learning, you might have came across various applications using machine learning. We are doing one online exercise. I want you all to open your browser, go to this particular URL. If required, I'll post it in the chat window, www.menti.com, requesting all to go to this particular URL and type the code and answer this question. So we are going to construct word cloud for applications of machine learning. I'll post the required things in the chat window. The URL is www.menti.com. Please go to this particular URL and type the code 331922. So I'm giving you 2 minutes. So you will see a screen here. Yeah. So please respond. The question is identify applications of machine learning. So you might have came across various applications of machine learning. So submit your answer. Let us construct word cloud. Actually, this session will be interactive session. So I got answer from only one participant, expecting others to attempt. Yeah. Applications of machine learning. What do you think? Which are the various domains where we use machine learning? Okay, 1 more minute we will take. Yes, some of the answers, some of the attendees are telling sentiment analysis, prediction, prediction of heart attacks, soil analysis, classification, regression, online shopping, yeah, recognition of customer, gaming. These are the various, not only limited to this, lot of applications machine learning is having. Among these applications, I try to demonstrate some 4 to 5 applications in this session. Okay, so I'm going back to my presentation. Yes, just now we found various applications. Now, some of these applications, let us implement these applications using R. Now the question comes, what is R? R is a data scientist toolbox. It's a software environment for statistical analysis, graphics representation and reporting. So open source. Open source means freely available, and there is a R community. We the users or the programmers, we can contribute to our community. And it's a well developed, simple and effective programming language, effective for data handling. R is specially for data science application. Say for example, when you consider Java or the .NET application for web application, Android for mobile application. Similarly, R is meant specially for data science application. There are operators for calculation on arrays, lists, vectors, matrices. It has a large, coherent, integrated collection of tools for data analysis, and it supports strong graphical facilities for data analysis and display reports. So whatever the features I mentioned now, so these things we will try to, I'll try to convince you with the help of some demonstrations. Okay. Now, going back to the repository, that is from where the R resources we can fetch. R resources are available in CRAN repository, CRAN comprehensive R archival network. Okay, is the collaborative community where all the resources of R is available, from where we can retrieve the resources required for our AI machine learning data science application. So this is the URL. So I'll post it in the chat window. So you can note down. This is the repository of R. So we'll go to, hope you are this is the R repository. R repository. Here, you can, so first thing I'll explain you how to install the R. So depending on the operating system which you are selecting, Linux or the Mac or Windows, so select that particular as per your OS. So go for base version. So this is the latest version, download R 4.0.2 Windows. So this version you can download. So the thing from where we can download R, so CRAN repository. So select the operating system. So from there you download the required version. So I'm not going to download now. It's already downloaded. So I'm having the earlier version, 3.6.2 version. So this version is already installed in this machine. So when I install, so this is the R interface. I'll just show you. So once I install this particular application, so let me take you to the folder structure. See, always I tell my students also, whenever we do some installation, it is compulsory that we should aware of the folder structure. So the folder structure is, this is the folder structure where the most important folder directory here is library. When we install R, so these are the packages. Some of the packages by default get installed. Say for example, I'll tell you. So these are the packages which are installed. Whenever we install R, these packages gets installed by default. And if we require more additional features, then we need to install new packages that I will show you during my demonstration. So I hope you are understanding. So the downloading R, installation of R. Now the R interface. This is the R interface. Okay, the R interface, this is the console window, and if I want to create a file, this is the script window. So where all the programming codes are written here, say for example, print hello, the code is written here. This is the script window, and during the execution, so this is the console window, the command execution and its output shown in the console window, and the script window here where we are storing our programs. Normally, the thing is that the programmer here prefer IDE. Okay, there are many IDEs for R. The suitable IDE for R is RStudio. So all data science related, AI related work we can do here, but in most of the cases we prefer working with IDE. So I'll show you the IDE of R, that is RStudio. The link for downloading, so these are the steps given in the presentation. So this is for R download. Then RStudio, you can download it from this particular URL. I'm sharing it in the chat window. So please prepare your course journal, copy these URLs, you can explore them later. So from RStudio, the RStudio is downloaded and it is installed. This is the RStudio interface. It's the interface of RStudio, where you can compare the R interface. We have console and the editor, script editor, but the IDE supports more features. So that is here. So this is the RStudio interface. In the interface, you can see this is the script window, console window, and the environment here. And here that is the packages, all these things, and this is the help and plot window. All the use cases which I am going to demonstrate, I am making use of RStudio for the demonstration purpose. So going back to my presentation. So just to recall, we discussed R and RStudio installation. R is a data scientist toolbox. RStudio is IDE, integrated development environment for R, having mainly four component: script window, where we are writing our code program; console, the execution of the code, that output and execution displayed in the console window; the environment, which are the packages loaded, which are the objects created, all those shown in the environment component window; and the graphical output, health, all other things, file structure are shown in the graphical output, this fourth right down window. So this is the interface of RStudio. Now, the very important part, when I install some packages, those are all our core packages. So let me explain. Just I'll take you to CRAN repository. In the repository, if you observe the packages, this particular tab, in the packages there are, so you can see here, 16,024 packages are available. All the functionalities, package in the sense Java users you are already aware of, the functions together called as the package. So the functionalities are segregated in the form of package. So these are the various packages supported or defined in R. Such 16,000 packages are available, and every day it is changing. I mean, it's a collaborative community. The users, programmer, developer, they design a package and they contribute to our community. So the outcome of this FDP, you also can contribute a package to our community. You just browse here, whichever thing is not available or more effective, you can contribute. And the coding here, it follows Java programming. You can contribute a package to our community. Now, actually, once I install, whenever I install R, the core packages, some 200 packages are by default get installed. Okay, so I'll take you to R folder structure. If you observe this R folder structure, when I install R, the 200. So this R installation I have done in this machine in the month of March 24, where these are the packages. You can see these are the packages here. So reshape, it is related to data handling. So then string operation, these are the packages which are installed by default. Apart from these 200 package, if I need some additional functionality, I need to install it from the CRAN repository. So that is what, say, you observed here, there are 16,000 packages. See, nothing is impossible in R. Whatever you want to do, so corresponding package, functionalities, everything available in CRAN repository. Only the thing you need to install, import those packages and make use of it for your application or the problem. So apart from these 200 packages, additional packages can be installed from CRAN repository. That is what shown in this particular diagram. It is mentioned 4,000. It is not 4,000 right now. As of now, there are 16,000 packages are available. Core packages means when you install R, the default packages. In addition to that, depending on our requirement, we can install and import additional packages from CRAN repository. So this is what the package structure of R data science toolbox. Then the front ends. So this is the back end thing. The front end, we are having various IDEs. There are different IDEs available to use these packages. The most preferable one is RStudio is the IDE, and where we are falling in this framework, we are falling here. Okay, so this is what the structure framework of R. This is the framework of R. Now, the next thing, yes, any programming language, it starts with data type. Data type means how the values get stored. I'm not talking more about data type. Just one slide about this. Our data type, there are 5 data types, mainly vectors, where the values of similar type, say age of all the individuals, or the that is what vector data type. List means group of values of different type. Say particular employee, name and his employee number, salary. So here values are of different type, that can be list. And the matrices, two-dimensional information, that is the matrix, where in the two-dimensional or three-dimensional, multi-dimensional, all the values are of same type, that is matrix. And data frame means I'm having the information about students, 50 students, data frame in the sense a sort of table here, relation here, 50 students, 5 column information. So roll number, name, percentage, performance in the previous semester, like this. Then the factor, it comes with the categorical variable. Say I'm saving information, maintaining information of employee, where employee gender is the categorical variable, that is having male and female, or the third one if you consider. So such type of values, that is treated as factor. Thus R supports here 5 types of data type. So we are not taking any example of R data type. I am moving directly to data analysis, that is loading data in R environment. How to load the data into our environment. So actually I have not done the full screen here because I am switching from one screen to another screen. So I'll show you. Assuming that all the theoretical part you are aware of, only the R demonstration I am giving in this session. That is simple exploratory data analysis we are doing, taking you to our environment. Now, the most common familiar data set is IRIS data set. So we'll show you the IRIS data set. This is the data set. This data set is in the Excel format. I'm bringing this data into our environment. So I hope you all are familiar with this data set. This is about flower features information, sepal length and width, and petal length and width, and the flowers belonging to which species. There are three types of species: setosa, iris setosa, versicolor, and virginica. Like this, each species the count is 50. So total 150 observation we have in this particular data set. Now let us bring this data set into our environment. Just interrupting, madam, is it okay? My screen is visible, right? I'm confirming.
Oh, yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Because I was selected sharing screen, not the window. Okay. Now this is the read CSV is the command here. This is to import data into our environment. So as I said, this is the script window. Here we are writing the command. The execution here, I'm keeping the cursor here and just line by line. Our uses interpreter. You are all aware of compiler, interpreter, all these things. Line by line execution, it uses interpreter. So this line I'm executing. So just observe the console window. The execution output of the execution is shown in the console window. Now, in the case of our read.csv command, it reads the data and it is converted in the form of data frame. So iris.csv is the Excel file. The contents are read and it is converted in the form of data frame. I'm giving name of the data frame DF. Any name can be given. Just to see the output, what is there in DF for your curiosity. So see, we have brought iris.csv into our environment. So you can observe in the environment section here, DF, the object is created. Was the dimension of the object 150 observation with 5 variables. So I'm talking now about exploratory data analysis. So lot of things there in the exploratory data analysis, but a preliminary analysis will try to show you. The first one is basic statistical summary. We can do it using the function summary function. Yeah, just observe the output here. This is the summary gives you basic statistical summary of all the features there in your data set. We are having 5 features where sepal length, width, petal length, width are the numerical columns, and the group name is the categorical column. Hope you are remembering the data set. So these 4 are the numerical column and this is the categorical column. What the basic statistical summary is doing for numerical column, it gives so basic statistical values: minimum, first quartile, median, mean, third quartile, and maximum for numerical columns. Whereas for the categorical column, that is group name, it gives frequency distribution. So how many factors are there? There are 3 groups, and how many observations are there? That is displayed. So this is what done by summary function, basic statistical summary as part of exploratory data analysis. Going further, there are some other functions related to exploratory data analysis. The function attributes. Attributes, see, when I'm loading a huge data, which are the features, how many features, which are those, I don't know. So I can execute here by using the function attribute. Attribute will give me which are the column names, what is the type of the data, and the row vectors. In case of R, I'll show you here. When you load data, each row is having identified by row index. The first row with index 1, second with 2, like this. So those row indices are shown in the data. That is attribute function. The str function here, it gives you the dimension, information about the data frame. So that is 150 observation I have with 5 columns. Which are those columns? What are the initial few values are displayed, and among this column, the related to feature, it gives the information. Sepal length to petal width are the numerical column, whereas group name is the factor data type. In the factor data type, we have 3 levels, 3 groups we have. Like this, the str is telling you about the data. So actually, any data science application or AI application we consider, we should know our data first before constructing the model. Know your data. For that purpose, we are having exploratory data analysis. Going further, frequency distribution can be designed using table function. See how to do it. DF is my data frame. So accessing the individual elements of this data frame, we are using dollar function. C++ Java users available know this object and the attribute. So we use dot operator. Here we are using dollar operator. And bringing to your kind notice, everything in R is treated as object. R is a pure object-oriented programming. Everything is treated as object. When I say object, everything comes by default. Object is having its own attributes, features, inheritance, polymorphism, everything related to object-oriented applies here. The dollar operator, DF is the data frame, dollar operator, and group name. Group name is the categorical variable in my data set. So we are going to design the frequency table. So for that purpose, the function is table. Table is the function constructing frequency distribution, frequency table. So this is the output. So there are 50 observations under Setosa, 50 under versicolor, and so on. So this is the simple data exploratory example. Now, so this is the script window where you can write your code and you can save it. So you can save as usual, like simple file, the program can be saved and it can be used later for the future purpose. And during the execution, the whole program you can execute, or the selection you can execute, or line by line execution takes place. Output of the code shown in the console window. I don't have any plots here. If there is any plot, the plot will be shown in this particular window, and whichever the objects are created, that is shown in this particular environment. This tells during this R session, the object DF is created with this particular detail. The object detail 150 observation and 5 variable. The simple demonstration in R. Let's see next. Hope you are understanding. So little bit about R environment, workspace and environment. I'm taking you back to R. Now, we observe here, whenever we open the R application, so just showing you global environment. By default, these packages are by default loaded to R environment whenever you start R or RStudio session. Stats is for statistical application, graphics for graphical basic plots, device related, utilities, data sets, methods, base. See, now I said R is purely a object-oriented package having thousands of packages. Whichever the function I consider, that function available in one or some package. Now, the functions which we used here, read.csv, summary, attribute, str, table, these are the functions which we use. Where these functions are available, these functions are available in the package, base package. Similarly, if you observe, I want you to explore them later. These are the thousands of packages available given from our repository. Say for example, if you consider package DAT, this is for data manipulation. Then flex table, this is for tabular reporting. Fuzzy join, this is for fuzzy join table, like this. Plenty of packages are available. Each package supported with related functions performing the particular task. Now, the environment means, see, once I load R, these are the 6 packages by default loaded to our environment. Any function belongs to this package and I can use them. If I want some function which is not available in this package, in this list, then I have to import it. Say, for example, we are going to construct neural network. Okay, so neural network, to perform the neural net operation, we need the package neural net package. So neural net package is not available here, but it is there in the folder, this library. Neural net is already available. See, neural net function is there. We have one more package called ENNet. So this particular library is available. Actually, here are 2 things. Don't get confused. Purely it is the library oriented programming, that is packages. The packages we need to install and we have to import. 2 things here. When you install R, by default 200 packages installed by default. Okay, additional package if we want, we need to install them separately, and after installation we have to import them. Okay, I'll show you both the things. First, I will show you the importing. Already I have a package, I need to import. How to import? The command here is library is the command. Which package I want? I want neural net package. This is the package. Okay, so warning, you can explore. Now observe here, the neural net package is imported to current R environment. Hope you are understanding. Now once you import this package, whatever function there in the neural net, that you are able to use them. Say we have a function called neural net. If you want to see what is there in the neural net, I'll show you the help function. This is the help function. If you want to see what is there in neural net, so the library is neural net. So you can see here what is there in neural net package. So the package name is neural net. It's a simple sort of the Java program here. Whatever things there in the package neural net, information is given here. Like this, you can make use of help function to explore the packages. What I explained now, I just explained you how to import library to our environment. Now assume I need a package. That package is not available in this particular machine. So then in that case, I need to install it from R repository. This is the R repository, CRAN repository. From this repository, we need to install a package, let's say DAT. How to install it? That is, go to tool. There are different things. You can directly type the command install.packages, or the simple way, tools, install package. Which package we want? I want the package called DAT. So click on the install button. That will install DAT package into your R environment. I mean into your R library. I'm not going to do it because it may take time. So once you click on install, so check this install dependencies, because in the case of R, the packages are interdependent. One package, say package X is depending on Y and Z. So once I select this, then whenever I'm installing X, the dependencies of X, Y, Z are by default installed to your machine. So once I click install, in that case, the package DAT will be installed in my library folder of current R version. Then after the installation, you can import them using the command library. Library is the command here to import the function. Now I cannot use DAT because I don't have DAT. I need to install. Okay. So what did we learn now? We understood the concept related to package. Installing the package from CRAN repository. As it is an open source, in single piece we don't get everything. That's the feature of open source. Whenever you need anything, you need to install. You need to add the additional component. That is what the feature of open source. So installing the package from the library, and after installation, you need to import it into current R session. The library is available in my folder. Okay, that doesn't mean I can use it directly in the R environment. No, we need to bring it into our environment. That is, that package should available here. Whichever the package available in the global environment, only those package I'm able to use it in my session, in my R session. So installation of the library and import of the, that is bringing the package into current environment. That is a very important part of handling or working with R. Going back to my presentation. So the most important, I said the base package. Base package means this particular package. This is the base core package here. It supports all the functions. See, the functions whichever I used here, all these functions are from base package. That is, the base package contains functions related to arithmetic, input, output, basic programming, everything. And the contents are inherited from any other environment. So if you want to see what is there in base, let's see quickly. Yeah. These are the, see. So these are all the functions and attributes here available in the base package. I said package is a group of functions and the attributes. So these are all various functions and attributes. Say for example, character, the character vector. This is available in the base package. See, it is impossible to remember all the functions, millions of functions available in the R. It is not at all possible. See, 14,000 packages, each package having 100 plus functions. Impossible. We need to use the reference, only the thing we should be able to apply. This is my AI problem or machine learning problem or data science problem. I should be able to apply so and so functions for this particular problem. That is what data scientist skill here, not to remembering the things, able to apply the things for my problem. That is what expected as data scientist. Okay, so just to share with you, R has plenty of functions. You can just now it is convinced. The functions here followed by the name of the function followed by the parenthesis. I'll share you this link in the chat window. some useful functions, especially for machine learning application, some useful functions with example given in this particular tutorial. I'll share it in the chat window. See, whatever I'm sharing, please note, take it down. So what is this? In this particular PDF, I'll show you quickly. See, this PDF, it has called it, the very nice name is given, reference card, where the functions, especially for ML, machine learning and data science, which are the functions most commonly or useful functions are given in this particular PDF. See, input and output, data creation, variable conversion, slicing and extracting the data, matrix, data processing, plotting related, then especially the model fitting functions, distribution. So you can refer this, or directly we can make use of our resources whenever we need any application. Actually, I said it is difficult to remember the functions. Better referring the resources as per our requirement. Yeah. Next, one more example I'll take related to EDA, exploratory data analysis, where the R is having its own data set. R has its own data set. So if you observe the package, data set package, there are plenty of by default data sets available for the practice purpose, okay, for the learning purpose. Let us see what is there in this data set. I'll execute the command data. Sorry. So these are the data sets available in R. Air passengers data set, monthly airline passenger numbers. This you can make use for time series analysis. So like this, these are the data sets by default available in R. Not only data set package, another package is there, mass. So you can see here, I'll show you. Just a second. Yeah. So mass is a package. Again, it is a data set package. It has various data sets. One more package is there, sandwich is another package. Like this, plenty of data sets available by default available in R for our learning purpose, for our model construction purpose. We can use available R data sets. One such data set is Titanic data set. So I'll show you. Just let us do some exploration with the default data set available in R, that is Titanic data set. So all are aware of Titanic. Here, whatever the crisis happened, that information survived. So you can observe this gives us the frequency here. Just try to understand this data set. We are having 32 observations where it tells, the interpretation is like this. In class 1, male gender, age is child, number of this particular category not survived are 0, means did not survive. Similarly, if you observe this particular third class female child not survived are 17. Let us see, is there any yes, survived? Yeah. If you consider this second class male child, survived are 11. So this is the information about Titanic data set. So how to do analysis? Now I have brought this data set into our environment. The class is the function. This gives you type of the data here. The type of the data is table. But to perform various operations like summary, attribute, or the table, bar plot, if you want to do any of these functions, the data must be in the form of type should be data frame. Now Titanic data type is table. I need to convert this into data frame. As.data frame is the function. It converts this data into data frame. Now T is Titanic. I'm saving it as T as data frame. So you can do the same operation. Summary. You can observe here. These are the categorical variable. Frequency is given, and the frequency here, this is the numeric variable, is statistical summary is given, minimum 0, maximum 670, like this. Then you can construct the frequency table, that is how many have survived in this particular data. The survived column, so 32 observation, we are having 32 observation. Among these 32 observation, how many observation falls under survived and how many are falling under not survived. So what I have done, dollar operator, the column name is survived. It tells 16 observation falling under not survived and 16 observations are falling under yes, survived. I took this example just to show you there are built-in datasets available in R. For the experiment purpose, we can make use of these built-in example, and these are all authentic datasets. So not the dummy created, authentic datasets, we can use them. Going back to next example, I'm taking some of the use cases which I have designed, we have developed. Any data science project, if you consider, there are 6 phases. The problem definition, followed by related to this problem, collecting the data. Whatever the data we collected, we should know the data. The first thing, know your data. So then after knowing whatever the pre-processing, outlier removal, all these things will take place here. Then construction of actual model. It can be supervised model, unsupervised, or the association, like that. Then analyzing the result and to the concerned authority submitting the report. This is what the phases of data science project. Here, these two may change. I mean, we start with the problem, getting the data, or in some cases what happens, we have data and based on this data, the problem can be framed. So there may be some change. And then the R role here, it comes in the exploratory data analysis, model construction and result analysis. So next 30 minutes, I'll try to cover some use cases which we developed where I'm covering these 2-3 phases. The first example I'm taking, this you are aware of. So I'm taking example related to supervised learning. Already you have studied related to supervised learning where we have a training data having set of features and the target. The machine learning model is constructed based on the features and the label, and the test data given to this particular model and comparing the computed label and the expected label, that decides the efficiency of the model. Now I'm taking you the first case, that is ANN modeling of silicon solar cells spatial characteristic. Actually, this work is published in the Scopus journal recently. Paper is published by Ukrainian journal. It is a modeling of spatial characteristics of solar silicon cell. We have used here artificial neural network. For this purpose, whatever the data is required, that data is taken from the research already involved. From the research, we took that data and constructed the ANN model. I'm going to show you that particular application. Here, these are the inputs for my model. The thickness of the solar cell, short circuit current, open circuit voltage, fill factor. These are the inputs, and these inputs computing the efficiency of the solar cell. And it is a sort of, it's not a classification model, it's the regression model, means we are computing the efficiency here. The program, our code will be something like this. Yeah. So this is the program. Here, the first thing to construct neural net, I need neural net function. That function is available in neural net model, neural net package. I'm importing neural net. And then where my data is available, I'll show you data set. Solar cell. Yeah. This is the data. So where we are computing the efficiency of the solar cell. Now, if you observe the data, the very first observation, see this particular column, if you observe, it is in terms of 100, 200, 300. Whereas this, if you observe 0.02, where this is in 0.13, that means our data is not in the same scale. It is required to scale the data, perform some normalization. So immediately when you see the data, immediately you should strike that my data is not normalized. We need to scale the data. So I'm loading data into our environment using read.csv function. Data is loaded. Basic summary, just to know the data, I'm seeing the dimension, 15 observation, 6 columns. Then neural net model here, there should not be any missing data in the data set. So for the neural net model, there shouldn't be any missing data. So we need to check, is there any missing data? That is, we can do it using the function isNA. Is there any not available data there in the data set? Required to check. So let us check it. It is telling false, means false in the sense there is no any non-available data. Means all the data is there is not, data is not missing, everything is available. Then let's execute summary function. As I already explained, the summary function gives you for the numerical column basic statistical summary like minimum, first quartile, median, mean, etc. For the categorical variable, it gives frequency. In this data set, we don't have categorical variable, all are numeric variable. Next, this concept's already known to you, just I'm showing you in R how it can be done. Random sampling. Actually, in the construction of any ML application, data need to be split into training data and test data, in some cases validation data. The thumb rule is 70-30. So similarly here, the random sampling I have done using the function sample. You can explore more later because the time constraint is there. I'll try to orient you participants. You can explore them later. The sample function here used to perform simple random sampling. Total number of rows, from there 70 rows will be fetched here as a training data and remaining are test data. So the execution of this does the simple random sampling. Set seed means again if I do, I'll get different values. It shouldn't happen. Next time also when I execute this, same set training data and test data should be same. That is the reason we are using the function set seed. Okay. Now I'm creating training data and test data. See the index, I'll just show you the index. See, in the 16 observation, these 70% observation are fetched from the data set, and I'm treating these these are the row numbers in my data. Don't get confused. I'll show you the data set first. This is the data set. This is the data set, original data set. From this data set, 70% are fetched, treated as training data. Where if you observe, these are the row numbers. Okay, index here having row number. This index, see, these are the row numbers. 70% of the rows from my original data set selected as training data, and then that is remaining are test data. So these 70% rows of DS see, these are the rows treated as training data, and remaining rows, that is I'm using minus index, these are the rows, minus in the sense remaining are the test data. Remaining 30% are the test data. Like this you can do simple random sampling, splitting the data into training data and test data. Training data and test data. So now the data is ready. What we have done? We have loaded the data. We done the exploratory analysis, knowing the data. Then we have split the data into training and testing data. Now data is ready for model construction. Directly I can directly execute neural network construction. But here the case is, in this case, since the data is not of same scale, this is hundreds, this is tens, this is 0.0123, this is 0.8. Data is not in the same scale. Need to scale it. For that purpose, I am using min-max normalization. Maybe you are aware of there are different standardization of the data that comes under data pre-processing. When the data is not of same scale, you need to bring it into same scale to get the effectiveness in the model construction. So you can use Z standardization, anything, it's up to you. And again, there are the theory behind it, but I'm skipping that part. I'm using here min-max normalization, bringing data into common scale. So this is the formula of min-max normalization. This formula is implemented in R. I'll execute it. So now data is scaled. So I'll show you. This is, see, observe my training data. This is the original training data. And I have scaled it into 0 to 1. And similarly, test data is scaled it into 0 to 1. So always we must follow in model construction data, check your data. If it is not in the same scale, required to do standardization. That comes under data pre-processing. Now I am constructing neural net model. So for the construction of neural net model, using the function neural net, and here the formula is like this. So my model, the efficiency is the dependent variable, response variable. It depends on these independent features. So the formula is this the target depending on these input features. So defining that formula, efficiency depending on these features. And the data here, the data set, I'm doing this on training data. Hidden layer having 3 neurons. So because we are using neural net function, we can increase, we can use number of hidden layers. But here I have taken only one hidden layer. See, there are two packages. NNet is the package where in the NNet package we can have only one hidden layer. That is the drawback. But neural net package where we can give more than one hidden layers. And each layer, how many neurons you want, that you can define here. And the linear output is the regression. That is, this model is the regression model. What is my output? Observe the output. This is not the classification model. This is the value regression model. So linear output is true. If I'm doing classification model, then it should be false. Okay, let us construct the model. Okay, we'll plot it. You can observe, I think you can see the screen. This is the plot of the neural net. So we are having these 5 input parameters. Then this is the output, hidden layer having 3 neurons, and you can see the weights. I think the theory you are aware of. This is the construction of neural network model. You can proceed further making use of this model for test data and compare the result of the your computed model and the actual model. That will give the efficiency of the model. Then again you can retrain the model, change the configuration of the neural net, again train it and try to get best suitable model. This is how we can construct ANN modeling. Similar. Going to next application. This is supervised learning model for medical application. Here, I know we don't like coding, or I observe my students, they tell, no, instead of coding, if I get some GUI, it will be very easy. So the one who doesn't like coding but still want to do data science, AI, ML application, for them we have our GUI package, that is Rattle. I'll load it. So you will, I know when seeing this much of code, you felt like, nahi yaar, no, so much of code I have to write like this. No, not to draw. You can, even though if you don't want to code, no problem. You can design ML application in R by using R GUI, which is that is Rattle. I'll take you to Rattle. Yeah, can you see this? This is Rattle, is the package, is the GUI for R, especially for data mining application. Okay, I'll repeat. So Rattle is a GUI, R GUI for data mining application. One more GUI we have, RCMDR, that is for statistical application. All thing related to statistics you can do using the GUI RCMDR, and this is for data mining application. Here now my next use case I'll show you with this Rattle. Okay, what's the problem? The problem here is performance evaluation of various classifiers for the prediction of breast cancer based on the parameters gathered during routine blood analysis. Here, the breast cancer data of 116 records classified into 2 classes based on 9 features. I'll show you the data. This is the data set. Okay, so the classification problem. classification 1 and 2 based on these 9 features. Let us construct classifiers and compare those classifiers using Rattle. So very first step, bringing this data into R environment. Now, I'm not going to write any code. Okay, just some simple clicks performing data science application. No coding like this. Okay, so no coding. Just a second. Okay. Yeah, let's bring the data. Which is my data? The in here are pro case studies. Here I have the breast cancer data. Okay, so these are the tabs here you can observe in the Rattle. Data tab, explore. I'll show you one by one. Okay, I'll use and execute it. Now data is brought into Rattle environment, where these are the input features and the classification is my target. Okay, so say if you want to ignore any column, you can ignore them. So you are bringing all data, but if you want to ignore, you can ignore them. Then here you can set the partition, training data, test data, and the validation partition you can set. And next, the simple thing I'll explain. Explore. Here you can do the basic statistical exploration. Exploratory data analysis can be done. So simple summary function I'll show you. So you can see the output. The output of the summary. So age, BMI, all these are the numerical columns. Basic statistical summary we can see, and the classification is the categorical column, but as it is written 1, 2, it treated as numerical. And here you can define, plot the things. So you can plot box plot for age. You can see the output in the R plot. The output is shown in the R plot. Age here, some 46 to 72 are available in this particular data set. Maybe you are observing, I'm not writing any code. I'm just using some clicks here. Next, what is the question? The question is construction, the performance evaluation of various classifiers. So let us construct the classification models. I'm going to tab model. Which are the tabs here? Options available: decision tree, random forest, SVM, linear classification, neural net. These are the various features, various models are available. So let us execute this. For this data, this is the breast cancer data. We have done the exploratory analysis. Now constructing the model. The first model I'm doing decision tree. Minimum split is 7. I want you to understand all these things because I don't have that much time to explain. So decision tree model is constructed. Let us draw it. So the plot we can see in the R window. So this is decision tree model. Here each path here from the root to the leaf node giving you the rule. I hope you are aware of decision tree. This gives, what is the rule number 4? This is rule number 4 tells glucose value less than 97 and age is greater than 75 falls under the category 1. Then what this is telling, if the glucose is greater than 97 falls under the category 2. Like this, the interpretation, we should be able to interpret. See, R is giving result. Getting result is not important. It is easy. But interpreting the result is very important. We should be able to interpret the result. So this is decision tree model is constructed. Next, let us construct random forest with number of trees. I'll set it as 200 trees. So you can, random forest model is evaluated using OOB out of bag ROC, that is receiver operator curve. So this area under the curve, it should tend towards 1, that is 100%. So 0.75, value is 0.75. If I get value some 0.95 something, that then I can say random forest is performing well. How to measure? See, we get, I told you, once again I'm repeating, I got the result. But the most important thing here is interpreting the result. What do you mean by 0.75? What the ROC is telling? ROC, the area under the curve, should tend towards 1. Then we can see the random forest is performing well. Similarly, then I'll show you the SVM construction. Then neural network. I'll take only 4 hidden neurons. The neural network. Okay. Now the what we have done for the breast cancer data, we constructed decision tree, random forest, SVM, and neural network. The most important comparison of these 4 result comparison, I'm going to evaluate model, error matrix. So maybe you are aware of confusion matrix. So let us construct a confusion matrix. So you can check here the confusion matrix for decision tree model on this particular data for validation data is this. What is the error rate here? 21%. Decision tree on breast cancer error rate is 21%. Whereas random forest is 48%. 42%, SVM is 28%, neural network is 50%. So among these, which one is having less error? That is, decision tree is having less error. This model can be treated as the final one. Actually, the value is not good. Just for the demonstration purpose, I'm showing. There are various other features for the comparison. The comparison of these four models you can do using error matrix, or you can do receiver operating curve. I'll show this. See, receiver operating curve for neural net having the value area under the curve is 0.5, where the area under the curve for SVM is 0.94. Area under the curve for random forest is 0.85. Area under the curve for decision tree is 0.85. This indicates the SVM is having good value. We can go ahead with SVM for this particular, the decision. What is the conclusion of this particular modeling? So just to review, recall, we took breast cancer data, we explored it, we constructed 4 models, then we done the comparison using error matrix ROC. You can see here radio buttons. These are the various evaluation, model evaluation, performance of the model evaluation. So this is PROB in the sense predicted versus observed. Whichever you want, you can use it. So on which data you can mention which data you want to perform the evaluation. So as per the ROC evaluation, we concluded that the SVM is the suitable model for the prediction of breast cancer data. Actually, this particular application is published in one of our data science book. A similar application we have designed for Kickstarter. Maybe you are aware of. I just brief it. Kickstarter is the crowdfunding platform, web-mediated crowdfunding platform here, where the success of the campaign, that prediction, that model is done using classification. And the data set for this purpose, actually this is manually we created the data set, visited individual Kickstarter project and collected the information, and based on that data set is constructed. I'll show you that data. This is the manually constructed data set, not taken ready-made from anywhere, where each project's category, how much it is funded, how many are backers, funding goal, launch date, all these attributes are taken, and the machine learning application is designed, model is designed for predicting the success of the particular campaign. This is also published in one of the Scopus journal. I'll give you the link later. Then one more application is decision tree modeling of surgery data. I'll skip now for this. I'm taking you to cluster analysis. We'll take one use case, that is COVID-19 country cluster analysis. In this case, actually what we have done, cluster visualization of highly infected 50 countries as on date 18th March. As on date 18th March, 50 countries data is taken, which are the parameters: number of total infected cases, deaths, recovered cases, active cases, and total number of infected cases per 1 million population. Such 50 countries have taken. So we'll show you the data. This is the data set, 15 countries on 18th March COVID situation. And these countries are grouped, clusterized using k-means clustering. Quickly show you. For that purpose, I need the package, cluster package. And for visualization graph, we need ggplot, fact2 extra. These are the requirements for plotting. I'm bringing the data into our environment. Then basic, and just will show you the data if you want to see the data here brought into our environment. Then when I'm going to construct the cluster, how many numbers it should be, how many clusters should be there. So for that purpose, I'm making use of, see, if you observe this particular plot, it shows suitability of the clusters. So after 4, there is no much any different. So this indicates number of clusters can be 4 or 5 or 6. So minimum one I took here, number of clusters 5. So let us construct 5 clusters. 50 countries segregated, grouped into 5 clusters. That is, we are making use of function, k-means function available in the package, cluster package. So passing the data and number of cluster means are 5 here. We'll display it, we'll understand, very important. The understanding the output, interpretation is important here. See what it shows, k-means clustering here, having 5 clusters of size 8 countries, 1 group, 33, 1, 1 and 6. Actually, as on 18th March, the China and Italy falls as are isolated, different values they were having that time. So they are treated as a different group here. Then cluster means, you can see the cluster means, that is for the first cluster having 8 countries, number of total cases are 1577, total deaths are 21, recovered are 13. Like this for the cluster 1, this is the cluster mean with reference to various columns. For cluster 2, this is the cluster mean. Cluster means center of the cluster. Okay, then this shows you which vector belongs to which cluster. The first vector, that is first country, I mean, which is the first country. The first country original data, I have different Excel sheet. That is China belongs to category the cluster 4. The next country belongs to cluster 3. Next, some 6 countries belongs to cluster 5. 8 countries belongs to cluster 1. Next, 33 countries belongs to cluster 2. Like this, the clusters of countries are formed. And how to measure it? How will I come to know this clustering is efficient? If you observe the between SS and total SS, this ratio, this is 99% tending towards 1. So that is near to 100%. I tell this particular clustering, analyzing the cluster, this particular model is the efficient one. This is how we can evaluate the clustering. What we have done, coming back to my presentation, 50 countries segregated into groups by using K-means clustering. So the result concluded here, China and Italy falls in cluster 1 and 4. That is, their values are entirely different as compared to the remaining countries. The same type of application we have designed, that is visualization of university clusters based on NIRF and NAAC scores. And this work is published in University News, published by AIU. Okay, and here what we have done, the scores of top 50 NIRF ranked universities for the year 2018 was taken into consideration. So we'll show you the data set. 50 universities NIRF and NAAC scores have taken into consideration and applied the K-means clustering, where the 4 clusters are formed, where the cluster 3 having highest value of NIRF and NAAC, the JNU, Banaras Hindu University and Anna University falls under this category. The same one more similar work is done analyzing the productivity. I'm going beyond time. So the most important point I will show you, some of the useful repositories. I'll copy it in the chat window for your reference. You can make use of them. Okay, so the first Noema is the repository. So please copy this. You can explore them later. All these are the useful, the repository where we get authentic data set. So the world data is available in various country-wise and the domain, the various field data available here. Then this is the machine learning repository. Then this is UCI machine learning repository, again the authentic data. Kaggle is the data where you get data science, ML related computations with the data. ML data science computations are available. Lots of data science related projects, the live projects are available in towards data science. And the COVID-19 data set, the WHO data set is available in this particular URL. I hope you will use them. You can explore them later. And after exploring, you can design your own ML problem. So explore this data set, or assume you are having your own data science or machine learning problem. Try to get data from these authentic data sets or your repositories and start doing the exploratory analysis, construct the model, analyze the result, and communicate with your authority or the publish it. That will become your ML